definition of reset is to make a fresh start, the opportunity to make a fresh start or to begin again. Now, that's something Jesus Christ specializes in. He gives people fresh starts, start over, begin again all the time. The S in our name, S-A-D-D-L-E-B-A-C-K, every one of those letters represent a value of this church. And the first value, S, is second chance, place of grace. If you've messed up, this is a place to start over. This is a place for imperfect people who want a fresh start, a reset, a rebooting of their life. Now, there's tons and tons of verses in the Bible about God wanting to give you a restart, a reboot, a refresh, and a new beginning in any area of your life. And you'll need these many times in your life. We're going to look at all of those verses in the weeks ahead, but let me just give you one of them right here. At the top of your outline, Ephesians chapter 4 says this. You've learned the truth that is in Jesus. Jesus said, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. You've learned the truth, and you stepped across the line. Now, so, in regards to your former way of life, that means before you had Jesus in your heart, before you knew the Lord, your former life, before you were a believer. He said, in regard to your former way of life, put off your old self and be made new in the attitudes of your mind, and put on your new self, created to be like God, truly good and holy. Now, this is God saying here that once you've invited Jesus into your life and you've put your trust in him, then there's a process of growth and change and growing and becoming and resetting every area of your life. And he says it's kind of like changing your clothes, where you take off some stuff and you put on some stuff. You take off all the old clothes that are smelly and sweaty and dirty, take off the old clothes and you get rid of those, and you put on some new clothes which are fresh and smell good and make you feel good too. He said there's some things you should take off, there's some things you should put on. We're gonna deal with this now for several weeks. How do I do a life reset? Whether you're in retirement or whether you're at midlife or whether you're just starting out and you're in your 20s or your teens, there are different times in your life you're gonna need to do a reset. Now today, what I wanna just do, we're not gonna go over the steps of how to reset your life. That'll take us weeks to do that. But in this point, I want us to look at the 4 preparation steps. In other words, these are preliminary things you need to do to get ready for a major reset in your life. Number 1, start asking God to do something new in me. I start asking God to do something new in me. And you don't just ask him once. You show that you mean business by asking him more than once, by repeatedly bringing your request to God. You know, any parent knows that when at Christmas time a child says, I want this for Christmas, if they only mention it one time, they don't really want it. They have to say it 3 or 4 times, and you go, oh, now this is the difference between a whim and a genuine want. Okay, and God says, are you serious about changing your life? Are you serious about being a different guy, a different gal, a man of God, a woman of God? Are you serious about breaking some of those bad habits in your life? I need you to tell me. Now, you might wonder, is it okay for me to ask God to do something new in my life? God, I want you to do something new, something fresh, something different, something unique in my life. Can you do that? Yes. In fact, it's in the job description of Jesus Christ. First verse there under that point, Revelation 21, Jesus said, I'm making everything what? New. This is what he does. Jesus transforms life. So if you're tired of your old way of living, this is the guy you come to. I make everything new. Now, a good prayer that you could pray is the one that David prayed in Psalm 51. And in Psalm 51, he asked God to create a new heart in him, create a clean spirit, do some new work in him. And in Psalm 51, verse 10, I love this verse, particularly in the Message paraphrase, where David says this, God, make a fresh start in me. I like that. Shape a Genesis week from the chaos in my life. You need this verse. Make a fresh start in me. Shape a new creation from the chaos of my life. You might want to write that on a little card and put it on your refrigerator and memorize that verse this week. Now, it's not only a good prayer to be the start of asking God to do something new in your life, but it's also significant even more when you realize that David wrote this after stealing another man's wife and having the man, the husband, murdered. We got a little bit different context now. David has created 2 of the top sins up there, adultery and murder. And he's saying, God, I need you to make a fresh start in me, shape a Genesis week in the chaos of my life. What that implies is really quite good news. What it implies is that you are never too far gone for God's grace, for God's forgiveness. You can't do a bad enough thing that God's gonna say, time out, you don't get any more chances. This is a message of grace. God, do something new in me. I have so messed it up, so screwed up my life, so made a fiasco of everything. And I've done this sin and this one and this one and this one and this, but I need a fresh start.